Hello, Niner faithful, and welcome to the Johnny Dale Football Academy podcast on the channel that's trying to answer the whys and hows of the game. We do that by talking through and dissecting game film and diving deeper to explain why the X's zig and the O's zag. I am Adam Marino, reminding you, as always, the ways to watch and listen to us as follows on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe. And then also on YouTube, make sure you have hit the notification bell along with subscribing so that you know when new content is coming. You're inside the Johnny Dell Football Academy. Oh, yes, Niner faithful. We are back and really better than ever, if we're honest with ourselves. Just feeling so much better that we have the 49ers as the only undefeated team who has not needed overtime and have just slacked everyone. And we got a lot to get through. Remember, if you are in the live chat with us, to hit that hashtag JD49 as we are boosting the algorithm. And a couple other notes and things to go over. I want to brag on Johnny because the latest, make sure the latest show that he has put together, the latest video, guys, check out the views. Maybe don't check it out right now because you're listening to us, but the views are insane. It's about 35,000. It has a chance to surpass. We're hoping for 50,000 views, which has never happened before. So when we tell you to like and share, we're really meaning it this time, because if you can share that YouTube video with your friends and family, show it to Cardinals fans as you poke fun at them. Hey, this video is going to absolutely surpass 50,000. It's a milestone. Make sure you're hitting the hashtag JD49, boost the algorithm. It'll show that video for other Niner fans. That's the goal. We want as many people's eyes on this as possible. Congrats, Johnny Dell, man. It's very cool to see you were texting me like, dude, it's at 10,000. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to see. It's trending really, really well. Was not necessarily expecting that, but hey, love the feeling. It's humbling, and so thank you for the support of everybody who's watched, who's commented. All those things help the exposure. Who's retweeted it, who's upvoted on Reddit, all of that, and a big thank you to our Patreon subscribers, and supporters. Those are the people who really support this channel and help us do what we do. So yeah, it's awesome.
So we got our popcorn ready. Let's get into some of the main things that happened offensively real quick to touch on. I definitely was the reason for the one incompletion, as I tweeted that. I don't know if you caught that, but it was literally within seconds. I said, hey, everyone at home, you have the same incompletions as does Brock Purdy, and that is 0. And then it's 3rd and 25, and we shotgun, and Christian McCaffrey is also 5 yards deep, running a 8-yard route, and just the one time that Big Trent gets beat, and it's incomplete. So that was the only incompletion of the day. It was methodical. It was practice, but shoot, even in practice, you miss guys, right?
Yeah,
And I know I was the jinx. I know, VT.
And yeah, I mean, there's I think it was a situation where we were at the field, I really thought we were still going to kick a field goal. I didn't think we were going to punt, because it was like a 62-yard field goal from where we were, and that it seems to be well within the range of Jake Moody. I mean, it's nice to have a kicker that you could say that about, but I think Kyle, where it was in the game, was thinking, last thing we want to do is give these guys a short field potentially to get back in the game. So he punts it away. And I really think that play was really just about, let's get 5 yards. We're going to try and attempt a field goal. I think that's all that was. And in there, obviously you don't expect your Hall of Fame left tackle to get bull rushed back in your quarterback. If that doesn't happen, we get five yards there. Jake Moody kicks a 57-yard field goal, and we're talking about how the 49ers scored 38 points and on 6 of 6 drives in the game. So, it wasn't perfect, but I mean, that was as close to a perfect game as you can get. Yeah, I mean, that's as close as you can get to a perfect game as I think there is from a quarterback. I mean, we're talking, these are once in 15-year sort of performances that we've seen from quarterbacks. I mean, this is exceedingly rare. Alex Smith did it in 2012. It was his last full start against the Cardinals. So there's that little caveat where he went like 18 of 19, and it was almost an NFL record at the time for completion percentage, but they counted, it was a throw to Kyle Williams that was counted as a backwards pass. I remember that, where even Jim Harbaugh actually appealed to the league that it wasn't a backwards pass. And then it was 1991, with Steve Young. He went 18 for 20, so we're talking 20 years in between Steve and Alex, and then 11 years between Alex and Brock. And Joe Montana had a similar game. I believe it was like 18 of 20. That was in, I think it was 86 was when it was. And I mean, so you're talking, we've had 4 of these sort of performances in 40 plus years. That's a long stretch. So you're talking like once every 10 years, you see a performance like this from a quarterback. And this is on a franchise that has 2 of the greatest quarterbacks, arguably Joe Montana, the greatest, and Steve Young, one of the greatest quarterbacks that have ever played the game. So,
and weapons with Roger Craig, and Jerry Rice, you were talking about that off camera, and finish your thought and dive into why it's a stupid argument.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're seeing Brock Purdy did this in his 12th start. I mean, that's what's just fascinating to me.
Yeah.
The guy has not played a full season's worth of games. The only full season worth of games you maybe could say is if it was the 1987 strike year. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. The guy has not even completed 16 full games. And this is just fascinating. And I was arguing with somebody online, literally 20 minutes ago before I hopped on here.
We are almost late.
We were almost late because I had to get through this. That was talking about that, don't want to call Brock Purdy elite until they see him do it with no explosive weapons, no running game, down 4+ with 1:50 to go in the fourth quarter, and have success. And I go, that's a weird metric for if a quarterback is elite. I think you put that metric out there, you're not really going to find really any elite quarterbacks ever. I just don't see that happening. You could say, okay, well, let's look at Tom Brady. 2001 New England Patriots. Tom won the Super Bowl. Okay, Tom was not down 4 points with 1:50 to go in that Super Bowl. He had a 2-minute drive to kick a field goal to win 20-17 in that Super Bowl. His defense held the greatest show on turf to 17 points. He did not shoulder all the load in that game. The 2001 Patriots were 1-3 in games where they gave up more than 17 points. Okay, if your defense is holding almost every team you play to 17 points, you should win a lot of games. And that was a knock on Brady for a long time, right? He's got the greatest defensive head coach of all time. He's got all this defense and running and strong running game. That was the argument for Brady for years. It's only as we stand here now, looking back on Tom Brady, we say, yeah, absolutely, Tom Brady was elite. And in 2001, he took over that Patriots team, and they were so much better than when they had Drew Bledsoe. And that's how we know he was elite. No, actually, people didn't say he was elite back then because it didn't meet the metrics of what people are talking about. You could say the same thing about Joe Montana. Joe Montana, when he was up, before the 1984 Super Bowl, when he beat Dan Marino, people were talking about that Dan Marino was the truly great quarterback in the league, and Joe was just, he was a system quarterback, and
Yeah.
just was able to, everything was dink and dunk and all this kind of stuff. No, okay. It's a weird metric that we have, that like a quarterback has to look to us like Superman to say, oh, that guy's elite. That if a quarterback is operating a system and he's getting the ball out on time and he's completing passes at an extremely high level, an extremely high efficiency, that's not enough. If he has weapons, that's not enough. And I'm like, I made the argument. I said, this is ridiculous. You say somebody can't have explosive weapons, they can't have weapons. Well, guess what? Then when they get to the playoffs, every team's going to play man coverage because their weapons suck and they're not going to have anywhere to throw the ball and they're going to look terrible. Oh, wait, that happened to Tom Brady in 2019. So it's a weird metric to put this to count it as a negative that Brock Purdy has weapons. What, should he come out and apologize? Everybody says, I'm sorry, guys. I threw it to the open guy who beat his man. I really should have thrown it to Kyle Juszczyk when he was covered by a corner, because that's a real mismatch. And that's what I should be doing here. No. I mean, this is ridiculous. Brock Purdy is playing as high of a level as there is in this league. He is number 1 in EPA on plays on third and fourth down. Okay, that's the money down. He is literally playing better than any other quarterback in the league on third and fourth down.
No question.
He's second in the league on passing plays on first and second down, only by Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, he is number 1 and number 2 in EPA in those two categories, on first and second down and third and fourth down. That's as good as you can get. Like, literally, when you look at the pie chart, I put it on Twitter or on the graph, top right is better, and Brock Purdy is in the top right corner. That's as good as you can ask from a quarterback right now. I mean, literally 1 incompletion. I don't know what more people need to see at this point. Like, give Brock Purdy his flowers. Quit putting in a knock on the guy I get so irritated with this idea that your quarterback is only elite if they have elite physical traits. That drives me insane.
Yeah, I like Liliander OG. What NFL team does not have weapons? Like, I mean, even like what's his name from the Bears that came over from the Panthers, the receiver?
Oh, yeah. Moore.
Like
DJ
Moore. Like, he's just on the worst team in football. But if the 49ers signed him tomorrow, I'd be like, dude, we got DJ Moore. Like, every single team has weapons, and I just don't understand how you can say, okay, I get that Christian McCaffrey is at that other level. However, even on all of the sports shows on ESPN or Fox or FX or whatever, they've been talking about, is he MVP? And everyone says no, because he's not outplaying Brock Purdy, and it's still a quarterback MVP kind of league. And so if you say that, then you have to, like you said, give Brock Purdy his flowers. And teams have had, I mean, you look at Kurt Warner, his weapons, and yeah, he put up numbers. He never played a full game in which he only had 1 incomplete pass, did he? I mean, and if he did, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I mean, look, a quarterback does what Brock Purdy does with amazing weapons, and people are talking more about it. It's just because Brock Purdy, he's 6'1", doesn't have a cannon arm. I don't know why these tend to be something that is a knock in some way, of as like that downgrades the legitimacy of the performance. If anything, that should make it a little bit more impressive, because he doesn't have the physical tools that some other guys have.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. It bugs me. I've seen stinking Nick Wright video 800 times, and I haven't retweeted it. I haven't commented on it because I don't want to give him publicity, because I feel like some of that's for publicity, of sitting there saying, well, I trust Geno more than Brock Purdy. Oh, shut up. Yeah, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it feels like people are saying that Brock Purdy needs to be on the 2005 49ers and doing what he did. No, that's insane. You want to know a team that had zero weapons? Go look at the 2000. Well, I wouldn't even say the 2005 49ers because they had Brandon Lloyd. Go look at like the 2007 49ers where you had Arnaz Battle as your number one receiver. That's a team with no weapons, but you still had Frank Gore.
Right.
So, it's just it bugs me that people are sitting here after that game. Like I'm coming out of that film and I'm going, I mean, I don't see anything out of there that I can say Brock Purdy did something bad. Like I'm actually looking at that game going, I'm finding it hard to be critical in any way. And I've had a bunch of people ask me about this and or comment about Kittle being open in the end zone on a throw to Christian McCaffrey.
Yep,
Let me just tell
wide
you
open.
people.
He was.
Okay, that route was not in the progression. It's not. It's just not. It's literally called a clear route. That is the name of the route in the playbook. I may even have it pulled up here.
Now,
Let me
one
see.
thing
I'm
I
going
want
to
to
pull it
point
up and
out.
show you guys.
Yeah, and with that play, one thing I want to point out, and I want to get into this with you as you pull it up, the reaction by Kittle, and what I mean by that is on that route when he's just sitting by himself in the end zone, he's not frustrated, and he's looking. If you watch, he's looking over to McCaffrey because he knows, yeah, he's probably getting the ball. And I also want to go over after this the play to McCaffrey where Kittle runs an in and he is frustrated. And I do wonder, and you say this on the video, make sure we get it to 50,000 views, guys. Check out the video. You do say, I know a lot of people think the ball should go to Kittle. I am one of those people because when you look at Kittle's reaction, he's frustrated. And that tells me I think the ball should have went there. But let's get into this one real quick first. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and that's when and I think it was JT O'Sullivan said the same thing. I was looking at Kyle's offense is really about. We'll get to that, anyways. So here you see there's a clear is the name of the route, and then you have down here it's very similar to seam. Okay, seam is going to be one that has a side adjust versus middle of the field open, middle of the field closed. That's where you see this. The hash line is against middle of the field open. You're going to bend it in between the safeties against middle of the field closed. You run it straight down the seam. Okay, so seam and clear route are nearly the same route. They're very, very similar. I passed it. I got to find it again. Clear, seam landmarks. That's where you're seeing that. Okay, same as seam route, except don't bend versus cover two. They're literally the same route. So it's a play or route that goes down the seam, and most plays you see it in, it's not even in the progression, and I'll pull that up in 1 second here. So I'll let Adam talk for a second while I pull that.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Glass City. Love that you're a part of the show and just became a Patreon member. Man, we love hanging out with you guys live in the chat. We love and we've talked a few times, Glass City, so thank you so much for the support. Remember, guys, we are trying to get the latest video that is out to 50,000 views, and take a look at how many views it has now in less than 24 hours, or right at the 24-hour mark. So when we say like, subscribe, and share, like when you guys do that, it really makes a difference. So thank you so much. And keep it going. If you have not hit hashtag JD49 to boost this algorithm, and the way I think it goes too is boosting the algorithm for this show also boosts the algorithm for the channel, which will help us get to 50,000 views. So smash the like button, do all that stuff. It does matter. There's a reason why people ask you to do that. It really does help the channel, and we love hanging out with you guys. So it's a favor to us, and we really appreciate it. All right, what else you got?
All right, so I found this. We're going to pull it up. This is literally the play. You'll see it. And if you watch the breakdown video, you know what I'm talking about here. So here we are. This is 2 scat H choice F plaster, or or you can look at it, same play here as it's going to be on this side, 3 scat Y choice H plaster. So I mean, it's just who's running the choice route. Y choice was the one was a play we ran with George Kittle very early on that ended up being an off schedule play to Christian McCaffrey. And so here we are sitting at H choice F plaster. Okay. That, let me go to my little pen here. Is it going to draw? Yes, it is. That this was the McCaffrey route. Okay. This was George Kittle's route. Notice there is no progression here. Okay, this was the route that was run. I believe it was Ayuk that was out here. He ran a clear route. You had McCaffrey. He's your number one in the progression, and you're hot. He came out here and he ran a little choice out. Okay. George Kittle was out here. He ended up open in the end zone. He's not even in the progression. The number 2 is your choice out China. Why? Okay, what is the point of this play? And let's see if I can get the eraser thing up here. I don't use this program for doing anything hardly ever. So I do apologize.
I love it though.
For the late
awesome.
here. I'm gonna go up here. Talk about it this way. No, I'm not.
Guys, we talk about the whys and hows of the game.
We do. We talk about the whys and hows, and you're seeing it live.
This is amazing. Dude, I just get a front row. I'm the biggest fan.
Close this real quick.
This is awesome, dude.
I'm going to come back in here. Sorry about this, everybody. I should have been more prepared. Literally just like figuring this out as we're doing the show of like, we should do this. So, let me make sure I have this all pulled up and ready to go. And we'll talk about this just a second more, because again, why was George Kittle open and why did we not throw to him? What's the idea here? Okay. So I'm going to do this in yellow because I like yellow for stuff. So you have a safety here. Okay. And you have a hook curl here and you have a hook curl here, and you're going to have corner here. He's playing deep third. So you're running him off. All right. So you're running that guy off. So you're going to have a flat guy over here who's going to be playing out into the flat. And you have 2 hook curls. And so why do you have this clearing route here and these 2 clearing routes? One, this flat guy has to gain depth to protect against this comeback route. Okay. So he's got to gain depth and help his corner. So that's going to give you space to the outside. This guy in Gannon's defense is what we call a Bronco or a skiff player, okay? And that stands for seam, curl, inside, and force, I believe. I can't remember exactly what the F stands for. But basically what the first part of that is the S, the seam. He has to match this route up the seam. That's why that route is called a clear route, because it's clearing out defenses that match down the seam. And that's why the seam route is the same as a clear route, okay, except it'll bend in towards on a 2-zone defense. But this is single high, so you're getting this guy to clear out, run with George Kittle. So now you have both of these underneath guys on either side have been pulled out, right? They're going deep. That's why you have McCaffrey on a choice in out, because now he's matched up with this guy in all of this space. So if this guy comes out here and he says, I'm going to keep you inside, that's when McCaffrey breaks in. If he stays in the middle of the field, then that's when McCaffrey breaks out. Okay. This is all about isolating McCaffrey on that hook curl defender. So that's why Brock Purdy never even looks towards George Kittle, because it's about breaking the coverage rules to isolate Christian McCaffrey on a linebacker with leverage. This is a no-win situation for that linebacker. That's why the ball is out on time. It's why it's there. It's why I can't hold it as a knock against Brock Purdy that he doesn't throw it to Kittle, that he doesn't even look that direction. Plus, again, he is also the number 1 in the progression. You never, ever, 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 ever pass up number 1 to go check to see if this clearing route is open. Never are you going to do that. If he did that, Kyle Shanahan would be screaming at him, even if he threw a touchdown. You know, think about the play that Brock Purdy threw a touchdown. I think it was against the Buccaneers last year, and Brock Purdy said he was coming over to the sideline, and Kyle was like, yeah, I was about to rip into him because he missed, he passed up an open receiver early on, and Brock was just like, it's all right, man, I got ice in my veins, and Kyle couldn't be mad at him anymore. But he was still upset, right? Why? Because he didn't operate the play as a progression. You never pass up open number one, ever, ever, ever. Okay, so we can say, yeah, this guy was over here for a touchdown. Guess what? Number one is open. It was in the progression. That's how the play is designed. So you're going to throw to number one if it's open every single time. And Big Papa, how did I get the playbook? I got sent it by somebody. It's out there, though. You can find it. It's proprietary right now. I think Mike McDaniels read it when he got hired on to the Dolphins. They're going to take this stuff or that stuff, and he said, man, you can buy our playbook right now. And it was the very one that he's talking about. Kyle's playbook and his 2019 49ers playbook are available online. You can also find his 2016 Falcons playbook. They've actually been posted on Reddit 8 times. Yeah. But I got mine sent by somebody.
We appreciate you going through it
in the organization. So there's that. That is why Brock Purdy did not throw to George Kittle in the end zone.
Now,
it's from the playbook, you guys.
And again, when you look at that play, guys, go back to the video that Johnny did. Watch Kittle. He is looking over to that side. He is not throwing his hands up. He is not frustrated at all. But Trey Lance, which, okay, we talked about the Brock Purdy thing. It's funny to say VT 2022 says that, yes, he's a friend with Trey Lance. That's how he got the playbook. Speaking of that, Trey Lance obviously just didn't have the it factor the way that Brock Purdy does. That is already, you can silence people by saying, well, Trey Lance was given, I know injuries, but had a lot of the same opportunities. And again, I will point out always that you mirrored very similar, if not the same play side by side. And we saw how Brock Purdy got it out quick and how Trey Lance was not on time. So anyway, just brought that up because VT 2022, it's all your fault. So getting back to that other play, though, that I'm really curious about. And again, I'm only playing the nitpicker. The dude was 20 for 21 or whatever it was. Yeah. So when we're talking about nitpicking, I have a few to go over with you. And that one where Kittle was visibly like, oh man, I thought I should have got the ball. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me pull this up here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this over a play, another play we have here, so we can kind of see what was going on. And again, this is about when I look at a lot of this stuff that Kyle does. Sometimes it's about reverse engineering what he's doing based upon the defense. Okay, so we're going to take the same sort of thing here. Now, disregard the stuff on the right side. We're going to have Kittle as the Y right here. Okay, so that's George Kittle. Let me know in the chat if you can see that really well. Sometimes you can't always see it as well on your end as I can see it in front of me. But we have, and this F, that's going to be Kyle Juszczyk. The H is Christian McCaffrey. Okay, and then we're going to have Debo. Debo is going to be right here. We're going to say you're Debo. Okay, so you're not there. What Debo ends up doing is coming across. We fake like a handoff. And he's going to run to the flat. Okay, and we have Juszczyk is going to run up here, and he's actually going to break this off and run more of a corner route. And we have Christian McCaffrey on a choice out China. That's what that CO China means. It's a choice out China. So it looks like a choice out, and then it returns back in. That's what that China is in reference to, is a route that breaks back off of what it normally does. And then we have Kittle here on a Y on a basic route. So it's an in route at 12 to 14 yards. Okay. So again, it's about breaking the rules of the defense. That you have a corner here who's got to carry and be alert for this corner route. That's why you're running a corner route. Now you have a curl flat here and you have a curl flat here. Again, Gannon's scheme. It's got to think about gain and scheme. Gain and scheme, just like I talked about the other one, they have to match the seam. So that's why you bring Juszczyk into the seam and he runs it out and runs it out that way. Okay, this is why, and this was one of my few issues with JT O'Sullivan's video. I think JT does fantastic work. He's amazing work. Obviously, the guy was in the NFL for 10 years in quarterback rooms. The guy knows more about football than I do. Okay, so not saying that, but he was saying this is about, and sometimes with JT, I feel like it's because I look at everything through the lens of Kyle Shanahan, not just offenses around the league. It's about what is Kyle Shanahan doing here? Okay, as he said, I feel like sometimes they're bringing out Juszczyk and this is buddy ball. That is, he's one of Kyle Shanahan's buddies, and that's why he's out there and he's running this route. Okay, no. It's about dictating and drawing certain looks from the defense. You want cover 3 zone here because this play is designed to break cover 3 zone rules in Gannon scheme. This is where we have to go beyond just, okay, this is offense on defense. This is Kyle Shanahan versus Gannon scheme. Okay, so you come out in 21 personnel. That's 2 backs, 1 tight end. You have Juszczyk on the field. Why? Because when Juszczyk is on the field, most of the time, it's like 85% of the time, you're going to get a single high safety with cover 3 zone. Okay, so now you're going to get cover 3 zone with Juszczyk. He's going to grab it, and you're going to clear out. You're seeing with this corner route, you're going to grab both a corner and you're going to grab that hook curl. Now, again, we've put this guy in a bind. You've got McCaffrey on a choice out China, and you've got Kittle on a basic route. Okay, so again, this guy, he's either going to sit in here on the basic route or he has to attack McCaffrey. I think really the whole way they were wanting to hit McCaffrey. Because you get McCaffrey here in space on this guy who's in the middle of the field. That's the Shanahan offense. I mean, it's just weird to me. Like I'm sitting here going, okay, why are we bagging on the way this is, or saying, that this is some weird thing? And that, again, that's my only issue with JT and Rich. Rich has got some great stuff on Twitter. Check his stuff out. Dude has such great X's and O's stuff there on his Twitter. And he says the same thing. JTO has a weird beef with Shanahan, and it is,
he doesn't like the drop back. He has not for years.
Well, I and somebody messaged me about it today, and I said, I feel like there's this kind of, it's like the old Eric Coryell versus Bill Walsh thing, that I feel like he's wanting that Eric Coryell passing game, and that's just not what you're going to get with Shanahan. Shanahan is all about keep giving my offense chances to run the ball, and so a lot of the drop back passing game is about setting up those tunnel screens, those bubble screens, those things you're going to see on the outside, because that's an extension of the run game. I mean, we saw McCaffrey score a touchdown on it. We've seen, how many times have we seen Debo break an explosive on those? Okay, so sometimes the drop back pass game is about doing that. Sometimes it's about you're just trying to get a first down to give your offense more chances to run the ball, because you are the best in the league at explosives in the run game. And so, I think he's looking for a different approach to the drop back passing game than Shanahan really wants. And it's like, yeah, and like Rich said, he did that whole video where he dressed like Shanahan and tried to act like him. And there's a weird thing there. I don't know what that beef is. I don't know if there's something going back 10 years ago. I don't know.
Maybe he didn't give him a chance or cut him.
I don't know. It's just, there's something there that is a little weird. JT, I love you, but that's a weird thing that's going on there. He's really been negative about any 49ers drop back passing game generally as it goes. So yeah. But
I get some of it. Some of it kind of can make some sense.
Yeah, I mean, I get some of it, and yeah, there are some valid critiques, but at the same point, I'm looking here at a 49ers team that has scored 30, 30, 30, and 35.
I think we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this team is playing poor. And I get it. There's if you go into the film room with Kyle Shanahan and the players, I'm sure that there's things that they're going to spend hours there dissecting and going over and saying, we could do this better, we could do that better. Absolutely. But which kind of brings us to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is the defense, right?
Yeah. Yep. Let's get into that. I mean, I was looking at our plus minus, and it's top 4 in the league, and you have like Buffalo, who blew out Washington like 38-3. So of course their numbers are inflated. They're not giving up a ton of points, but we're right there amongst the league leaders of giving up points. And I we talked on the phone yesterday, and I told you that that 99-yard drive hurt my feelings. It got me in the feels, and it made me sad because my Niners don't give up that long of a drive. And
Yeah.
other than that, I'll say I felt pretty good about everything. What did you think?
I think some of the knocks on the defense have been a little overblown. Ambry Thomas was not good on 2 back-to-back plays Sunday, and that really hurt us. But you start looking at some of those situations that those 2 plays against Ambry Thomas don't happen if they don't get a fake punt from within their own 25-yard line. I mean, let's understand what this team had to do to score even 16 points against us. They had to have a 99-yard drive and have a fake punt and have another 4th down conversion overturned. They say it was, and they ran. Okay, people call it the tush push or the brotherly shove. I call it the lameness up the anus, but it's that stupid quarterback sneak that's going around the league. I hate it. I don't like it. I think it's bad for the game, just from a fan perspective, not football analytics side of it or anything. I just hate it because it's literally becoming like an extra point anymore. Like, this is why they backed the extra point up, because it was a yawn play. It was like, okay, here it goes. It's an unstoppable play almost at any point. You're talking about a play as like a 99% completion rate. Everybody, okay, there it is. This is just lame. They had to do 2 of those on that 99-yard drive. And then they hit a big chunk play off play action against Fred Warner. And I would say, though, the play design of that play was as good as I'd seen things from like Shanahan. It was great. It was really good play design. But they had chances to keep going after that, and they eventually hit their big shot play. Okay, all these things come together, and they still only score 16 points. We're giving up 14.5 points per game. All right, now understand the Cardinals, outside of facing us, we're scoring 25 points per game. So they scored 9 points below their average against the other 3 teams, and one of those included the Dallas Cowboys, who apparently have a vaunted defense. The Rams are scoring 25 points per game. These are, I mean, we're not talking about top 5 in the league offenses, but we're not talking about bottom 10. I mean, that's right around the middle of the league. These are not bottom feeder teams. And you go, well, we played the Giants and the Steelers that were bottom of the barrel offenses. Yeah, and we allowed 7 and 12 points in those games. It's 9.5 points, okay? And we had 3 interceptions. So, we did feast against the teams that we should have, and we limited 2 teams below their average of scoring points. So I don't have a problem here. And people say, well, Wilkes is just, I don't like this defense. Well, because you're looking at the defense through the lens of the last 6 games of 2022 and how good they were playing with DeMeco Ryans. Okay, but we forget about the beginning of the season with DeMeco last year. We forget about giving up 28 points to the Falcons. We forget about the game against the Chiefs, which was literally graded in defensive DVOA as 300. I believe it was 372nd out of 372 games for the 49ers. It was the worst DVOA performance by a 49ers defense since they had started even tracking those numbers, those metrics, in 2000. Okay, that was a record terrible defensive performance. They gave up 42 points. They gave up touchdowns on 6 straight possessions. I think it was the only, if you don't count the possession they had to when Jimmy G threw that horrible pick before halftime. But, that was a horrible defensive performance by the 49ers last year. Everybody bagged on the defense for blowing the game against Chicago in the monsoon when they gave up those big plays against Fields and the Bears. This was not exactly a well-oiled defense at the early half of the season last year. And yet we're saying Wilkes isn't the guy. This is just not, I'm not loving this. Okay. Well, again, We're 4 games into this season. They're giving up 14.5 points per game. And I know they're not playing the top offenses in the league. But if you look at the 2013 Seahawks Legion of Boom, who
Yep,
was
you
one of
tweeted
the
that.
most fearful, I tweeted it out. They gave up 14.44 points per game on that season. So, you know, while I'm not saying that they're playing at 2013 Seahawks Legion of Boom, I'm saying, okay, the points per game are almost identical. We can't turn around and say that, yes, I know it's not great offenses, but there's still 14.5 points per game in the NFL is good, is great, is fine.
It's
There,
really
you know,
good. It's an offensive game. It's just, I mean,
right. And you know, when you look at what did the Cardinals do? The Cardinals were coming in, I think they had like the 7th or 8th best rushing attack in the league. And we handled their rushing attack so much better than Dallas did. Okay. A huge
yeah,
thing that led to Dallas scoring or giving up all those points and all those rushing yards was because they did not account for Dobbs in the run game well at all. One thing that you saw over and over and over again, there was like 3 plays, and I'm going to show them in my defensive review video this week because I was working on it this morning, was that Dre Greenlaw was all over Dobbs. I mean, that dude was flying around the field. And he just jumped off the tape of like how much he was flying around. It was so fun to watch. That was one of the funnest performances I've seen from a linebacker in a while, was what Dre Greenlaw was doing as far as just like coming up in the hits he was making on the underneath throws. Like they would sit there and they dump it off for 2 yards, for 3 yards, and he was just closing and just bam, hitting guys and tackling. It was so fun to watch just him gobble up everything in there. And Fred Warner made some really great plays in there, but that was one of Dre Greenlaw's, I felt like, one of his better games. Now, there was a touchdown. I'm gonna cover that they scored there, but you know, that was a game when I looked at that, I said they played the run so much better than Dallas did. It wasn't even, I mean, it was night and day against the exact same team. And you know, in the end, people say, well, we're not getting the sacks, we're not getting this. Well, we're getting massive amounts of pressure. Dobbs had come in, and yeah, we didn't get a pick against Arizona. Guess what? Dobbs has not thrown a pick yet this season.
right.
Dude is not getting enough attention. Like I was sitting here coming out of watching their game against Dallas and watching their film against us. I'm sitting here going, I'm not sure if I'm Arizona, if I'm handing the keys back to Kyler Murray here. I mean, really, like he's not quite as dynamic as Kyler Murray's been, but dude was taking care of the ball. He was taking some big hits. He was avoiding negative plays. Like
I said I
he
liked him last week.
yeah, he really impressed me in that game.
Same.
I came away going, man, dude stood in there and took some shots, and got the ball. And then a lot of times it was falling incomplete, so he's not putting the ball in horrible harm's way. He's doing it. He's not getting sacked. I mean, that was a big thing. Like his time to throw was like 2.6 seconds. Like he was getting the ball out. And people say, well, we need to play more press man. And I'll say, you know what? No, we played a lot of press man in that game. The big play that Ambry Thomas gave up, he was in press man and gave up on a stutter and go. And the very first down we gave up in the game, we were in press man, and Isaiah Oliver got beat on a crossing route, on a shallow crossing route. So we are playing press man. We're showing press man, dropping into zone. We're doing a lot of things. We're forcing short throws. I mean, that 99-yard drive, that was a lot of plays. I can't remember exactly. I mean, it was like 17 or 18 plays, something like that, to get all the way down the field. But think about what the Cardinals had to do and the amount of stress that the 49ers were putting on them. Their offense is playing unstoppable. Their defense is playing in a way where the Arizona Cardinals have to be almost perfect to get all the way down the field to score 16 points. You know, that's a lot of pressure that you're putting on teams. And so,
and going forward on fourth and all that.
Going forward on fourth. And
my buddy that's an Eagles fan was like, oh, don't lie. You were, when it was 16 to 23 or 16 to 21, you were nervous. Don't lie. I'm like, dude, you don't know football if you thought I was nervous by watching that game. And then within 5-6 minutes later, I text him, look at the score now. And that's with them going for it on fourth down a couple times and doing all this. And he didn't even respond back. because he
Yeah,
knew.
I mean, it was just a situation where basically they were able to score on those two drives in the middle of when the offense had the one time they didn't score, and they just had back-to-back scoring drives. That was it. I mean, 14 points. Okay, and then we ended up scoring two more touchdowns after that, unanswered. So, in the whole thing, I look at our defense and I'm not worried. I'm not sitting here going, the amount of talent and what you're seeing them do. Like Javon Hargrave has been just awesome. I mean, the sacks aren't all there, but dude is splitting double teams. He's whooping guards. He's whooping centers. Nick Bosa is drawing so much attention. Like I go back to the New York Giants game, and the New York Giants just got mauled by the Seahawks, and they had 11 sacks. The Seahawks did against the Giants on Monday night, and people go, man, the Seahawks, they're just mauling these Giants. Where was our sacks? Where was all this? And I go, when I watched that game, I didn't see Brian Dable doing near what he did versus the 49ers defensive front as far as chips, as far as keeping a tight end in the block. There were so many plays that the Giants kept 6 and 7 men into block. There were times they were keeping 8 guys into block. They would keep a tight end, and then they would have a running back chip and release, and they'd have another tight end chip and release. And it's like they're only running 2 receivers for the first 2 seconds of the play. And the problem that creates for a defense is if you play zone, you end up with a lot of guys covering grass, because suddenly there's a lot of areas of the field where there's literally nobody even running into. So the offense can still kind of create some zone stretches there with only 3 routes. Now, if you match those really well and you play that particular concept really well, then you're good. But if they're able to scheme you out of your zone stretches, and they're able to keep guys in the block and get a little bit where they can stretch those zones a little bit more, they're going to have some success. And largely, we played it pretty well. It was play everything deep to short. So you take away the explosive play, the deeper play downfield, they have to throw it short, then you rally and make the tackle. And largely, we did that very well. Okay. The Giants scored 12 points. And this is what they had to do. And it was all about getting the ball out of Daniel Jones's hands really quickly. Obviously, they felt that there were opportunities against the Seahawks to push the ball down the field. And then then the game really started to get away from them.
Oh, yeah, no question. I want to point out Randy Daytona, another great follower of the show. Love chopping it up with Randy. Giants, Cards, and Steelers have proven to be garbage juice. Are we worried we haven't fought a contender yet? Rams may have been the best team we played. Now, keep in mind, other than the Rams wanting to beat the spread, if you recall, and I joke, but if you recall, we were up 10 points with 4 seconds left, and all of a sudden they just kick a field goal, which ends the game. Didn't really understand that, but I do think it had something to do with wanting it to look like it wasn't a 2-score game, and only losing by 7 points looks better than throwing a Hail Mary, having it incomplete, and now you lose by 10. So if the Rams were the best team that we've played and inside our division, they usually, when they're full strength, they usually give us a tough game. We still basically, exactly, Randy says 10 is very good in division. It's very, very good. When you look at what now you say that, and the Rams kind of laid a weird egg. I live in Colts country, and that Indianapolis game was all over. I went to a sports bar, and the Colts game was on, and my Lord, the way that the Rams gave up 23 straight points, was crazy. But the Rams do kind of feel different than what they were last year. And so we basically beat them by double digits. So that's why I don't feel worried. And the other thing that I say is that when you beat teams 30-7 or things like that, yeah, you're playing bad teams, but you're destroying them. So it was one thing if we would beat the Steelers 17-10. Then, Randy, I think that makes more sense. But dude, we are clobbering people, and that's why I think we have a chance to make some noise against Dallas and show people that we are legit. I don't think anyone thinks that we are not legit. I think they're maybe playing the wait and see game. Is that what you see as well?
Yes and no. I think people look at the 49ers and say, yeah, they're a really talented team and they have all this talent. And I feel like people are just kind of circling, waiting for an opportunity to jump on the 49ers as they see they're not legitimate in some way. But to your point, division games are tough. Go look at the Eagles and Commanders game. Okay, the Commanders, are we going to sit here and say the Commanders are light years ahead of the Cardinals? No, the Cardinals took them toe to toe, right? They were leading at half. And so, and the Commanders just went into overtime, scoring 31 points against the Eagles, who were supposed to have, a defensive line on par with ours. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? They just gave up 31 points and they were saved by Blankenship's forearm, keeping a guy from getting down with a catch in bounds. I mean, literally, the guy stepped on Blankenship's forearm, and it wasn't counted as inbounds. In overtime, that's how they won that game. And if we had played the Cardinals and we win 34-31 in overtime, yeah, I'm concerned. But we won 35-16. I ain't concerned. We're giving up 16 points to the Cardinals. Oh, okay, great. That's a division opponent. They do have a leg up on you, and they've overhauled a lot of things on their side of the ball, and you aren't as familiar with what they do. Jonathan Gannon is a first-time head coach. We know his defensive scheme. We didn't know a ton about exactly what the offensive scheme was going to be coming in. So, I'm not sitting here worried about this team at all, and I think they're going to be great going forward. And it's just looking forward to good things. Which one thing we're going to be looking forward to that's pretty good is we are, Adam, working on this week on releasing some new shirts. We have been working behind the scenes on some design ideas and different things. And so we are hopefully going to be getting this going live here sooner rather than later. But wanted to give you guys a sneak peek on the first shirt that is going to drop. That this is one that was the brainchild. And this is our initial design for what the front logo is going to be. It is IXOXO San Francisco. So let us know in the chat. Do you like that design? Are you going to think it's going to be work great? We're looking at doing it in both white and black. Going to have that on the front of the shirt. And these are going to be laser printed. They're not going to be one of those stickers on that's ironed on or put on there. These are laser printed on. It's going to be real high quality shirts. That's the way we roll. And then the back of the shirt is going to have the Johnny Dell's Football Academy there in some font that you guys love, and of course 49ers colors. So that is the sneak peek of the shirt that we are looking at launching here real soon, trying to get towards it, and we're hoping to have a very lovely price point for everybody, because we're regular people. I want to buy some shirts too. I don't get them for free. I got to pay for them too. So and Adam, we are nearing 20,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. And in honor of that, my wife told me that this morning. She goes, when you hit 20,000, you should give away a shirt. So we're going to be looking to do that. Once we get these things up and rolling, we'll give it away. But I also told her, I said, well, I got to make sure they're in print first, because I don't want to sit here and tell somebody that I'm going to give away a shirt that they can get it in February. So, but we are working on that behind the scenes. And all of you guys, as I went to my West Coast, not Alabama. Normally I'd say all y'all support really helps us make this happen from all the behind the scenes stuff. So
I am so excited for these. My mom is excited as well. And remember, ways to support us and support the channel is the number one way is anytime you're out and about and you come across a Niner fan, always point out and ask them, hey, have you seen the Johnny Dell Football Academy channel? And you know that you can instantly get people hooked on the channel when you show them a video of the X's and O's and what Johnny's goes through and what he does. And then you look and see how many other people have viewed it, and it sells itself. And you guys know that. And then you can let them know, hey, they go live on on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and that as well. And they love interacting with all the fans. So make sure you like and subscribe. That is the number one way that I would say that really supports the channel. And then by default, we find people who love it even more. Like a shout out again to Glass City, who then become Patreon, supporters, or they will decide to purchase a t-shirt or whatever. Of course, that supports as well. But the number one way is free. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, boost the algorithm, share with friends and family is always the best way to support us. We love hanging out with you guys. Me and Johnny, when we talk ourselves, we're always saying, man, we love doing the live stuff. We love hanging out with you guys. So we will have a show for the Dallas game here this week still. So some of you may be wondering, we didn't get into Dallas at all, as they don't deserve anything in this show. It was all about beating the Arizona Cardinals. So we will have a Dallas show. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Thank you to everyone that has supported us, and keep up the faith. Thank you, like I said, for watching. And as always, go Niners.